The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to another UAB Director's Chair. We do the show every single week. It airs at least 5 days a week right here on the TKR app, which is a live radio station. We have well over 100,000 people listen every single week. Classic rock and 18 different shows, including this one. And he is the UAB Athletic Director of your UAB Blazers. Mark Ingerby joins us every single week. Grateful to have him on every single week. And, of course, you can also go back and podcast these days. I'm assuming you've had quite the busy week. First of all, how are you? Are you doing good?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Thank you. Appreciate
You,
it.
you look rosy. You look good. You don't look like you're losing sleep or anything like that. You look pretty good. I mean,
Well, you do lose sleep. It's tough. Anytime you make a change for any reason, my opinion, my experience has been it's never easy. We work really hard here to focus on the type of person that we hire. We want to hire really good people. And that makes it more difficult, regardless of what people want to say about Trent Dilfer. He is a really good person who spent a lot of time and a lot of his energy focusing on the development of the players as people, as young men, all the time talking about them being, better fathers, better husbands, better neighbors, better citizens. And he just put a lot of energy there, which I really respect and appreciate it. But that's because of who he is and what he thinks is important. And, sadly, we just could not find a way to win enough games to be able to continue that sort of culture in our team. And so, we made the difficult decision to move forward, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, he was 9-21. Again, this is not a finger pointing thing. And you've been gracious enough to come on and do the show. A lot of ADs would probably say, "Let's take a week off." You weren't like that. You're like, "Let's go. Let's go head on in this thing." So I'm going to ask you some questions. You take it any direction you want. You and I spoke after the Army game. That was demoralizing. That was rough.
Yep.
That was a tough
Yep.
game because we knew Army wasn't very good, and I kind of felt like everything kind of hinged on that game as a Monday morning quarterback. So when you went into this FAU game, obviously
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, as long as he keeps winning, he's probably good. And obviously the Memphis game's coming up next, which is huge. South Florida's going to be a huge game. If somehow we flip things around, was this a predetermined kind of thing going into this game, regardless of what happened, if they end up winning that
No.
game against FAU? So it was just kind of and I hate to say a guy's tenure is based off one game, but it really comes down to one game. I mean, it does. Sometimes it does.
Well, it's a culmination of all of the totality of 2.5 years. But
Yeah.
but I agree, and we talked about it last week that we had regressed after Army. And to be clear, Trent Dilfer said that. It's not that this is not an opinion that I'm giving, and we're, hey, don't tell him I said it. He and I talked about it. He totally agreed, and then we did it again with Florida Atlantic, who we made look outstanding.
Mhm.
And so you're just trying to evaluate in that moment, do we feel optimistic that something has happened to give us reason to believe that we can turn this around? And sadly, it was the opposite of that. So, like I did feel that way coming out of Navy, and which I probably have said here. I know I've said it on this show, I've said it a lot, is even though we did not win, it just really encouraged coming out of Navy. I really felt good about it. And I think a lot of people did. We didn't play as well the next week against Akron, which kind of made you go, wait, what happened to the team from last week? But we won the game.
Mhm.
And we've been on the wrong side of that close, high scoring, close game. We've been on the wrong side of that with Coach Dill for a few times. And so it was like, hey, you know what? Let's not, to me, it was, yeah, I didn't think we played very well. Maybe we thought that it was just going to be a little bit easier game because they had not played well in their first two games. I don't know. But I didn't want to put too much emphasis on that because at the end of the day, the bottom line was we got the win. Tennessee is a top 10 team. We'll see if they go to the playoff or not. They've got a lot of football to play with. They're very good. And we still put up a lot of yards and 24 points on them and in that loss. So anyway, coming out of game four, I thought, if we had all said, hey, what would you predict? After four games, I probably would have
2-2.
predicted 2-2. So we were
Yeah.
right where we needed to be.
Mhm.
And I thought, hey, we have an extra week to get ready for Army. That should help. Let's and get that Army win. And then we've got Florida Atlantic. They've got a brand new coach and have struggled the last couple of years. In fact, those are two of Coach Dilfer's victories are against Florida Atlantic twice. So I thought, okay, we're in a good position there. We really could be 4-2, and then we're not. We're 2-4, and looked bad getting there. We just did not look the way we need to look. And again, I'm not saying anything that I don't think Trent Dilfer would say himself.
Yeah, no doubt. Defensively speaking, we it's been an Achilles heel for this football team since he's been there. And I didn't think we'd get any worse than we did last year. And we're averaging, I think we're giving up 43 points a ball game. And you can sit there and say, well, it's Navy and it's Army. Some of these teams are high flying. FAU throws the ball 60 times a game. Whatever.
Right.
When he made that change at the end of the last season, and basically cleaned house. What misstep was done between that hiring and then what they put on the football field? Was it the skill players? What happened? I mean,
Well,
because normally when you clean house like that, you're bringing a bunch of guys and you're going to get better. And there really it wasn't very difficult to get better based off
right.
what you had last year. What happened there? Do you know?
Well, I think I don't know that there was a problem with the staff. I don't think that at all. I actually think that it's a combination of we've got to find a way to get more resources for revenue sharing. We've got to do that. We've got to, and I've got a few things that I'm trying to put together to assist with that, as sort of constantly doing. And then Trent said to me on Sunday when I shared the news with him, um, he said if I had to do it over again, I probably would have put a little bit more financial emphasis on the call it the salary pool.
Yeah.
He said I probably would have put more on the defensive side. He said, you got to have a great quarterback, and you got to have great positions everywhere, but there's certain positions like receiver and running back where there seems to be more players out there that are maybe not superstars but sufficient.
Hmm.
Um, that is not the case with defensive linemen. Defensive linemen, big, big, big people that can run are hard to find. And he said, I probably should have put a little more money on the defensive line and linebackers than I did. And I don't know that it was going to be, a 70-30, but just more. And
It sounds so strange
yeah,
for you to say that, to put more money on it.
I know.
For the longest time, you had coaches that were great coaches, not so good recruiting, great recruiters, not so good coaching. Then, of course, if you were good enough to have a coach that could actually recruit, and there was an extrovert, there was a guy that loved to go to living rooms, that was a wonderful thing. Have we not added now kind of a business aspect to what it takes to be a coach? If you're a Mike Martz type of guy where you don't really like being around people, I'm trying to think of some other coaches that are like that, and you're not one of those go getting kind of Bruce Pearl in your faces kind of guys like that. Um, you got to now be a business person. You now got to bring in revenue. You could be the
Yeah.
best quarterback, you could be the best recruiter and the best coach, but if you ain't out there making money for your team, you're not going
Yeah.
to get the players. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's a totally different. I hate to say this. A lot of people say that you talk about the president or whatever. And he's a good businessman. Sounds like you need to be a good businessman now to be a really good coach in this league.
Well, and listen, you see teams hiring people as general managers. We already have these people on our staffs. We just call them something else. And what it is you got to have somebody that's very familiar with the spreadsheet. They know what everybody's making, not just their annual salary, but like their monthly compensation. Um, and then if they do something, we are not able to find them, but but because you can't call it a fine because they're not an employee. But if they damage their own personal reputation by getting in some sort of trouble or not going to school or whatever, you can effectively change their monthly compensation. And so you got to have somebody managing that. You were supposed to get 5,000 this month, but you didn't go to school or something, and without lack of a better word, fine, dock your pay for $200.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's for 4,800. Well, what happens to that 200 that we had allocated? Okay, then that's got to move to basically the available pool for next year. Is basically what you're looking at. So just somebody that's just managing it. It's not really that hard once you get the thing laid out. But yeah, there's some schools that have gone to what you might consider a complete pro model. I don't know if that's necessary really. Um, but again, you got to have somebody that's managing that all the time.
Yeah. He's the athletic director for UAB Blazers. Go to uabsports.com. Of course, you can check out everything on there. They've got everything on their basketball season right around the corner as well. We can't wait for Coach Andy Kennedy. Saw your team last night when we were down there at the Pelicans Houston Rockets game, which was super cool to see the guys down there. And of course, we do the show every single week. You can hear it as many times as you want on our podcast here with UAB. So this is a mid-season change. I think from a fan standpoint, we were very, very happy with that because I think it was turning into a lame duck situation. Let me just say this: from a fan standpoint, I really like the hire. I know he was 9-21, and I know in hindsight it doesn't look like it. If you knew he was going to be 9-21, you wouldn't have made the hire. I get that.
Right.
I really thought and I'm not saying this because I'm your friend. I thought it was outside the box. I thought it was risky. Um, he had been successful at Lipscomb in a high school football program. I know it's not college. I know it's not pro. He was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. To me, I would have made that hire over, say, a Brian Vincent, for lack of finding another term, because he was the next guy in line. And I get it. I understand it. Now again, in hindsight, you look at it and go, "Wow, and you're an athletic director. You live and learn. You learn by your failures. You do that. Um, so has that made you any more uh, anxious in going in for your next hire? Who are you listening to? Because that was kind of your baby. That was your baby. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone was
sure. Listen,
everybody was on, and you came in and said, "Listen, I got this idea." And listen, if it worked, you were going to be a brilliant man. Not to say I
sure.
don't think you're already a brilliant man, but you would have been up, and you probably wouldn't have been a UAB very much longer if Trent
Well,
Dover comes in and starts winning bowl games left and right. But so how does that make you go into this next coaching search? How has that changed the way you've done things? Because you pretty much go
yeah.
ahead in.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Every hire has risk. There's some amount of risk with everybody that you hire. Nick Saban was fantastic at LSU and Alabama. He wasn't fantastic with the Dolphins. And you go, well, it's the NFL, it's different. Well, I'm just saying there's 11 people on the field. You're coaching the game. The point is, uh, not every situation just is perfect. Steve Spurrier, awesome at Florida, not with the Washington Commanders. Uh, Good, really good with South Carolina, but not as good as he was at Florida, right? Lou Holtz, great at Notre Dame, not so much with the Jets. Pete Carroll, great with Southern Cal, great with the Seahawks, was not great with the Jets. Okay, so, what's the deal? And it's because there's just a million factors that go into the success of a program. It's not just X's and O's anymore. It's not just that. And so the thing about Trent was that he was really exciting. Look, we had a new league. Um, we had this transfer thing that was happening, paying players was happening. This was all brand new. And he was an exciting guy that, started the Elite 11 Quarterback Academy. He had relationships with high school coaches all over the country because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Either they were trying to send their quarterback there or had. And so he had a ton of relationships. And no, he had not coached in college, but he had coached. He had led a program, and from a football knowledge standpoint, never questioned and still don't his football knowledge. Uh, it just didn't work out, man. And like I said, there's a lot of different reasons why that could have been. And your question though, so how's it different? Well, I probably will be call it less creative on the next person. It will be a little bit more of a traditional candidate than you would have expected, right? It's not going to be, you said out of the box, like it's not going to be somebody like that. College experience, a lot of experience, but college experience specifically is huge. Uh, Ideally, you find somebody that either is a head coach or has been. I think that because of how the rules that I just mentioned have changed so much over the last three to 3.5 years. And I'm really talking about the transfers. It's not that, people go, oh, the transfer portal. The transfer portal is just a mechanism by which you transfer. It's just like an online form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the ability to transfer and play immediately and do that in an unlimited fashion. That challenging. That is difficult because if a player, even if they start who you like, they'll leave. If they're unhappy, I don't like the way coach talks to me, I'm out of here. So there's this new risk of that in the way that you manage the players. Um, so and fundraising and compensation, and then the new league and the transfer thing, these things. If you have not been dealing with that the last 3 years, like let's say you've been in the pros or something, maybe you had a bunch of college experience, but now you've been out for a period of time out of the college game for a period of time. Man, it has just changed vastly in that amount of time, and doesn't mean you can't coach. It's this totality of what you're dealing with. I don't usually talk about other programs, but I just think a good example of that is, and I want everybody to have success. But if you look at what North Carolina's dealing with Bill Belichick, this guy is undoubtedly one of the best coaches in the history of college of football. But look at how different it is for him going from the success he had with the Patriots to where they are with North Carolina. It's just a different job, man. It's just very hard, very hard. Like he never, when he was in the pros, he never had a guy in the middle of the playoffs go, "Hey, I'm gonna transfer like a free agent and go leave here and go to the Chiefs."
Yeah.
We have that in the middle of the bowl season, in the middle of the college football playoff. Kid just say, "Hey, I'm okay, coach. I know we're in the middle of the season still, but I'm leaving you." What?
Philosophically, when you sit down with your next head coach or your next interview, what what do you want to hear your next coach say? And I mean philosophically from because a lot of people know I'm a UAB guy, and everyone's like, man, why don't they just go get all the best players from the state of Alabama that can't make it to Alabama and Auburn and go play at UAB? And I'm like, that's a great and the thing is over the course of 10, 15, 50 years, when you got the Joe Webbs and you got these great players coming through your program, they're hopefully having children. They're saying their kids at UAB. That's how it works, right? Now, I played at UAB. I want to play, and so I may be good enough to play at USC, but I want to play at UAB because I'm a homeschool
Yeah,
person. I'm a Birmingham guy. I know how it works. But
yeah.
philosophically speaking, what do you want to hear from your next head coach?
Yeah, really finding a coach that has a proven record of success, that's not hard. That really is not the hard part. And that's the thing that everybody, of course, leans right into. That's not the hard part. That's in your bio. I mean, if I get your name, I can just read your bio online and see, oh man, Tony's won a lot. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is finding the person that can do all the other stuff. What are their leadership qualities? What how do they partner with the department? Are they a good partner for the department? Do they understand, hey, this isn't perfect. There are challenges here, like there are everywhere, and they work with you, not against you, and not just complain all the time. And then trying to find a person of real integrity is hard. And that's not to say that football coaches don't have high integrity. What I'm saying is it's not the hard in that is not that they don't have it, but it's not in their bio.
Hmm.
Hey, I've won here and I know it's here and then I work there. And by the way, I do not intentionally cheat. And you can trust me if I speak to you that I'm being honest with you. That's not in your bio. So the hard part is trying to do the background work to go, okay, what's Tony really like to work with? Do you feel like he's trustworthy? Do you feel like if he tells you something that it's true? Or and the other thing that frequently happens is more about omission. They won't lie to you. They'll lie to you by omitting details,
Yeah.
by leaving things out. And that's just as dangerous and just as difficult as when somebody won't communicate. Hey, we had something happen at practice today. Coach grabbed a player and I need help on how do we deal with this here at
Yeah.
UAB.
Yeah.
That kind of thing versus we handled it. I was last week. We're well past that. Wait, what happened? You know, that's
Yeah.
a problem.
When you want to go to a UAB game, I can see the people that show up at the games every single week religiously. And in most cases, they may be a little older. They may be with the program for 10 or 15 years. They're the ornery guys that just want to bitch and moan about the same old stuff over. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. They're in every program. I get it. They're alumni, they're boosters, they're whatever you want to call them, but they're your P1s. You have to please them, take care of them, shake their hand. And then you have that younger group of people that sees that you've built this protective stadium and that you get this brand new outdoor facility downtown Birmingham when you're driving through. And it's fantastic, and you got the entire city behind a program, and you've got everything going your way. Particularly since the program came back in 2017. I think you just want to find some people that are believing in your program, that understand that it's a business and there's a lot of things. What would you say as an athletic director to your boosters and alum at this point in time and where you are with your program, to just make sure that they know it's going to be okay?
Yeah, well, listen, nobody wants to lose. I don't like losing. Um, I hate that we have not produced the results that we want, but we've had a ton of interest in the job from the moment the news broke at about 5 o'clock Sunday. We've had coaches directly and their agents directly calling and texting about their interest and their clients' interest nonstop. So there's a lot of really good candidates for the job, um, from all levels, and that's really exciting to see. Yeah, we had some names on the list, but we've been able to add to that. I don't know what that's at now. It's got to be at least 30, call it minimum. It's got to be, I bet it's well over that, but at least that. So, look, we've got a great school and a great city. We're in a great conference, the best G6 conference out there. And we have a great opportunity. There's only 136 head coaching jobs in
Mhm.
FBS football, 136. And they're hard to get. They're hard to get.
Yeah.
And so they're valuable. And then you throw in, like I said, a great city and a great school in the Southeast, which we are, where we have weather and we have a lot of talent around us. Now we've got real opportunity here.
Yeah, and I would say too that of all the times to be looking for a coach, now would probably be one of the best times just for the conference itself, because you are getting a lot of national exposure. You're going 12 teams, probably more likely to 16 next year, which means you have another outside shot. It was always a one bid league, and I don't see that anymore. You have a shot of getting the South Floridas, the Memphises, and maybe the UABs in there down the road. So that's going to be interesting. Well, I appreciate you being candid, being open. When do you expect to have a hire? Can you give me an idea? Is it something you want to get done? I know Coach Alex Mortensen. We're going to try to get him on our television show on ABC 3340, and
Yeah.
certainly on our podcast, Aaron. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to jump in with both feet on that. But do you have an idea of when you want to have a hire? Is it how's that go? And I know there's some different dates. Some recruit. It used to be all around recruiting. Well, you have to have a
Well,
coach
it
by
still
this date. But
is.
yeah,
No, it still is. It's just we didn't know when the transfer portal window was going to be until like 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
So it opens up January the 2nd, and that's to our advantage. It used to be roughly December 1st until about the 29th of December. And boy, that was hard because, again, in a transitional set, and this is what Trent had to deal with. When Trent walked in the door, the transfer portal was already open. He's trying to put a staff together. He's trying to evaluate our team. Who would I like to stay? And who am I perfectly okay with leaving? And also recruit. So he's recruiting people and he's interviewing people and he's also trying to recruit and figure out where's the water fountain and the dry cleaner and the grocery store and all that stuff. And so this time around will be more helpful in that regard for whoever we get. So the plan, somebody in the month of December is ideal. What you're again dealing with is um, you want somebody who's having success, right?
yeah.
So they're probably in a bowl game.
Hmm.
Could be in a championship game and a bowl game. Could be in a championship and a bowl game, uh, and a playoff. Could be in a championship and the what do you call it? The FCS playoff. You have the CFP and you got the FCS. So a successful coach could still be playing, and so you got to respectfully work around
And there
that.
are, by the way, there are some. I mean, you look at some teams that just went up to the FBS, but I mean, you look
Yeah,
at some of those Kennesaw States, those James Madisons.
yeah,
There's a lot of really good teams that are just gotten in or are still at the top.
for sure.
They're not all North Dakota State. You don't have to go North Dakota State. So, hey, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know I'm going to get an email, info@tonycurryradio.net. What do you think Trent Dilfer does next? Has he told you what he wants to do? Does he go back to high school ball? I mean, I don't know if from a college standpoint, but what do you think it
Trent's had
is?
a lot of people reach out to him since he was here about opportunities. He's going to have opportunities, whether it's coaching, yes, high school. I think the NFL is a place where he could have great success. He worked with half the quarterbacks in the NFL
Yeah.
at the Elite 11, and a number of them will come back to him or ask him to visit with them by Zoom or for all sorts of reasons about what are they doing right or wrong. He's had that since he was here, and so uh, and maybe broadcasting again. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
don't have any doubt that he'll have opportunities. Sunday when I delivered the news, that wasn't the time to talk about all that kind of thing, and
Sure.
and I do want to say that he handled it with extreme grace.
Mhm.
Trent took the news like a real professional. He was very calm. He was gracious. He was thankful for the opportunity. He was expressed,
You
disappointment.
gave him an opportunity. You gave him a shot.
And he
And
he
I
he
you know,
apologized for letting everybody down. I mean,
yeah.
he just said, "I've let a lot of people down, and I hate that. And I really thought we could win, and I did too, man. Like I said, we hired him for a reason. He was really dynamic, and thought that along with his national connections could be enough. And I think those things were all valuable. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah. Basketball season right around the corner. Give us a couple of important dates coming up here for your UAB
Yeah,
Blazers. I got a
next
chance to get
week.
my
Next
son,
week.
my son, his son is sitting next to me. God love me. He goes, Dad, he goes, I don't know one flipping player on the UAB Blazers. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
I
don't
know
know.
it's going to be exciting, man. There's 12 new guys coming in, 12 new
Yeah.
kids. So you're going to see some new faces. But that's exciting stuff.
October 23rd and October 29th are exhibition games with Vanderbilt and Western Kentucky. I'm really glad we're doing this. I'm glad we're playing teams like that because you didn't used to be able to do that. You had to play the Lithuanian All-Stars or somebody. And it's a bit of a warm-up game. It doesn't count, but gives your team who's been practicing against themselves
Hmm.
a real chance to see what competition looks like.
Yeah. God bless, my friend. Go get him, Tiger. Let me know what I can do for you. You've always got a fan here, and appreciate you coming on this week. I wasn't sure if you wanted to take the week off, but I knew you from your heart and your standpoint. I knew you'd want to jump in. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for the time. Go Blazers.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.